Hello, space friends. I am Kashal Adron, aka Gamer Girls, and it has been requested that I do some commentary on some of my old Solo Hunter Diaries. But before we get into this video, let me tell you a little bit about myself. So I started playing EVE in January 2020, so that makes me a little over 3 years old. I am a FC within the PSI community. I specifically specialize in taking rookies and noobros out on their first PvP fleets. And I'm the CEO of EVE Rookies. We are a coalition of different groups that put on public fleets for the EVE Online community, such as incursions, forward bases, mining, missions, ratting, you name it, we probably have a fleet for it. Now that you know a little bit more about me, let's go ahead and jump into this video. So I want to think I actually shot this video. I went out in my Astero to do some solo PvP in a wormhole about 2 years ago. I think it was probably around July or August 2021. The reason that I started doing these videos, that I went out and started hunting in a solo Astero, one, I saw it somewhere on YouTube, someone else was doing it, but also I get the PvP shakes really badly on solo PvP. So for me, the idea of this activity was literally to try to train out the PvP shakes. In this first video and following Solo Hunter Diary videos, I specifically hunt exploration ships, like the probe here, as well as mining ships, ventures, and then I had a few others that were a little bit harder fight. I found killing exploration and mining ships to be pretty controversial. Somehow in people's mind, these are beginner ships. Would it surprise you if I told you that I have gone out and actually killed close to 1.5 billion in a venture? Even though a character may have 1 day, 2 day, 5 day on them, it doesn't always mean that they're actually new to EVE Online. It just means that that account is new. Veterans play alpha characters all the time, and veterans also fly what is considered to be rookie ships. Not to mention, when you jump into a wormhole, go to low sec or null sec or POCVN, that you have just jumped into relatively unsafe space. And don't mistake yourself, high sec isn't all that safe either. Aside from the obvious ganking threats, you can bet your last ISK, if you do something to become suspect or criminal and you're not watching your back, somebody is going to blow you up. High sec is not any more safe than any other location. Now that we have that little disclaimer put out of the way, let's talk about the ship I'm flying, the Astero. I want to think when I first bought this particular fit was about 130 mil, and I had just figured out an income that would support going out and blowing up a little bit more expensive ships. Up until this point, it was normally frigates and destroyers in the ranges of 30 mil to about 70 mil. With the effective hit points of 4,500 and the drone damage, that being the only way I can do damage being 108.7 DPS, you can see why I tend to go after exploration ships and ventures. Then for my tackle, which will lock down my target, I have a T2 Scram and a T2 Warp Disrupt or Point. This would give me 3 points of Scram to lock a target down. Later, I'd update my Scram to a Faction Scram and get rid of the Warp Disrupt. So I would have 5 points of Scram in order to get the slippery little ventures. And if you're lost and wondering what I'm talking about with points of Scram, I will cover that in a future video. And last but not least, one of the important modules in case a target starts doing damage back is my armor repair. Of course, I also have a cloak, that way I can fly around a wormhole undetected. In low sec or null sec, I would be in local, but they wouldn't be able to pin me down. I know you can see a few more modules, but I'm not going to cover them in this particular talk because they aren't really relevant. I will put the fit down in the description, that way you can analyze it, and yeah. One of the tricks that I deployed for this particular video is I chose a wormhole that was just a few jumps away from Jita. I know that people are looking for convenience and they aren't really looking for safety, so people who are unaware or don't care will end up jumping into this hole to do some exploration. The preparation that I took for this cloaky hunting in the wormhole was I scanned down all of the relic and data sites, bookmarked the ones that I thought were most likely to have a exploration ship show up to, and then I stayed cloaked and waited. To see if a ship was coming nearby, of course, was hitting D-scan, and when I saw the probe show up, I went ahead and threw open the scanner window there and started scanning the data and relic site. That way I could lock down his location. He was at one or the other. This particular bookmark was about 30 off, so I have to slow burn to him. But this is actually one of the reasons that I decided to fit a long point. I have 24 kilometers of reach. I could have made it a little bit easier for myself by making some bookmarks that were closer to those cans, but that was a skill that I picked up later on. Of course, I really have no idea why I'm still not decloaked yet and jumping on that probe. These days, I definitely would be decloaking and grabbing him a little bit faster. Something you want to keep in mind is when you decloak, there is going to be a few seconds of time where you're not going to be able to lock anything up, as you can see right now in my overview. I do remember that at this point I was shaking really bad. I'm amazed that I managed to hit the modules, and I had tunnel vision really bad. I needed to get the target locked down, I needed to get my drones dropped, I need to get him dead, and I totally forgot to descan. At this point you need to be descanning to see if anything is hunting you. Back then these moments felt like an absolute lifetime being exposed, but it really wasn't that long before the probe died. I got the kill mail, and I could go and I could loot and get cloaked back up. Something that I started doing a couple videos down the line is actually shooting the wreck after I loot it. So I believe it was somewhere after this video that someone mentioned to me, either on Discord or elsewhere, that I should shoot the wreck. That way I have the opportunity of luring someone else in. If they see the wreck, they may be wiser and they may not come in. To wrap up the video, I added a little bit of advice on what the probe could have probably done as defense against me. It's hard with a cloaky ship to really defend against it, but they really could have not stayed at the can for so long. They should have been descanning. As soon as they saw me pop up in their overview, they should have been aligned out and getting out of there. You know, it's all skills that you have to learn, and the only way that people are going to learn it is if they die. So unfortunately, people can be mad at me for going out and popping probes, but this really is, as a player, how we learn and we get good, as they say. Well, that is it for the video. If you'd like me to do more commentary on my past Solo Hunter Diaries, give me some likes. If you have some suggestions on other videos I can do, either tutorials or PvP, then mention it down in the comments and I'll see what I can do. Until then, fly safe, and I will talk to you next time.